Would you like more privacy? Would you like to run around naked in your own house? Well, welcome back to How to Help Your Adult Children Leave Home. This is a series that we've been doing to help people help their children leave home. Today we're going to talk about readiness. Are they ready to leave home? And are you ready for them to leave home? I have my opinions. What's the literature saying, Dr. Dan?
Well, in the literature, it talks about ways, warning signs that you can see that maybe your kid isn't ready to move out. For example, is their decision-making questionable? So do they have a hard time maybe balancing their life responsibilities and social life? Are they sort of up all night and not taking care of other responsibilities? Those might be things that you want to help them work the kinks out of before they get out on their own. Other things are like, are they sort of spoiled by your cooking? Do they know how to make a few basic recipes for themselves? Do they know how to grocery shop? If they don't, again, that might be standing in the way. You might also think about if your child is kind of really succumbs to peer pressure. If they're having either their coworkers or their friends make all their decisions for them, you might want to look at that as a trouble spot too. So yeah, those are some things that you might look for that I found in the literature, ways to tell that your adult child might not yet be mature enough to leave, and there's some things that they need to work on. Maybe you need to support them in working on.
Also, for me, what was a dead giveaway was when they started talking about it, right?
That they were ready.
They're like making plans. They're looking at apartments. They're talking to their friends who've already left home. That's another really good indicator. If their friends are leaving home, they're going to be a lot more motivated to leave home. So, I know you can't really pick your kids' friends, but or maybe if they don't have any friends who are wanting to move out, maybe introduce them to a few really independent young people,
Are, in terms of gauging, are they ready? Like, how do they react when things don't go their way? Are they able to bounce back from setbacks and kind of problem solve on their own? Then another one that was funny, they were talking about like household chores they know how to deal with, like a clogged toilet or a clogged sink.
For sure. Yeah. Those are things that it's best to learn ahead of time, You don't want to learn that when you're in the middle of a bad clog.
Yeah.
It's not good. Yeah. So second part is, are you ready for them to leave home? Are you ready? One of the things I like to think about for parents is, are they feeling confident about their child living independently? If they're not, there's probably a reason. Either the child's not prepared or the parent is really anxious about the person leaving.
Yeah, you might be seeing some of these warning signs that I found in the literature, right? Maybe even your kid's not good at self-advocacy yet. You just don't want them. You want them to learn those skills before they go out.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about like, are you ready? We actually said it in our hook. Like, do you want to run around the house naked? Some of these in literature, like really, if you're sort of very much missing your privacy, or wanting to have more privacy than you've ever had, it's a good sign that you're ready for your kid to move out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're not ready, but you're ready for them to get out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, another thing I like to ask parents is, do you have enough company to be with you when your kid leaves home? Because a lot of times parents are just completely consumed with spending time with their kids before they leave home, but then they leave home and they're so depressed because they've never been so lonely in their lives.
Yeah, that actually hits on two things that the literature talked about in that one thing that you said. this idea of feeling like you can move on. If you're feeling like you're ready to move on with your life, like there's a lot of things that you put on hold until your kids are ready to go, and you just feeling that urge, like I've really got to move on with my life. That's a signal that you're ready for them. And then also the idea that Sue was talking about are you concerned about them being on their own, and that if you're all the time wondering where they are and what time they're getting home and what they're doing, maybe you're not ready for them to go out because you're still like overly concerned with their life, even though maybe they've moved on to other things that are more independent.
Even though that could just be habit. I see a lot of parents, they get into this sort of habit of helicoptering and always being aware of what their kids are doing, whether it's necessary or not anymore. So it could just be that the parent who's really focused on what their children are doing every moment hasn't like weaned themselves from having to worry,
which according to the literature may be a sign that you're sort of not ready yet. Instead of sort of being joyful that they've got their own activities, they're really independent. Maybe you're wondering, oh, well, why aren't they home for dinner? Or just what are they up to? Not so much their safety, because even when they're adults and on their own, you're going to be concerned about their safety. But this thing about just all very much involved in what are they doing and needing to know all the time might be might be an indication that you're not quite ready as a parent to let them go.
Also, do you know how to entertain yourself? A lot of us, when our kids are growing up, we just kind of give up all our own interests and hobbies. It's a trap, because if you're a working parent, most of your hours are consumed by working and raising kids. So you can easily let go of all of your own interests and hobbies, and then your kids leave home and you just are stunned. You're stunned by the silence. You don't know what to do, right?
Yeah.
So I'd say if you're thinking that you'd like your child to leave home someday in the near future, that maybe it's time to revisit some of your own interests and activities.
Yeah. The final thing that the literature pointed to as a big warning sign that it's time for them to go is if your relationship is starting to sour as a result of them being there and perhaps overstaying longer than they need to. And maybe they actually could be ready, but just are, wanting to stay there, and you're starting to get bitter about it, and it's going to impact your relationship. So that's a sign that you should really be looking for.
Yeah, that's a really big. So come back next week for part 3 of the Dr. Dev and Mama Sue podcast, all about how to help your children leave home. And the third part is going to be about how to actually help them leave.
Yep, important information. All right. See you later, Hopeful Tribe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.